have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area, and so he was.
Testing 1 2 1 2 3. Okay. Is it the drive plugged in? Recording. Okay. We'll go in 3 2 1. Well, it's a very sad day in Utah history today. This will go down as a notoriously horrible day for Utah. Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed, assassinated at an event at Utah Valley University. I'm personally kind of shaken up by it, honestly. I heard about it while we were at lunch, while we were enjoying this beautiful fall day, and we were planning on launching a new segment of our podcast today called Beyond the Beehive, and I'm going to still plan on reading that, but I have to address, what's going on right now. And we're going to join the governor live right now. He's in a news press conference. Obviously the shooter, I believe, is still at large. They have a person of interest in custody, the governor has said. There are videos out showing the shooter going back and forth on the top of the buildings at UVU. And it looks like the press conference with the governor just ended. What I heard him say was, we have to stop hating each other. We have to stop basically just deciding that there's one side that is evil and one side that is good. And if we are on the good side, then we must hate the other side, which is evil. We are divided as a nation. We absolutely have a huge chasm between the two major divisions of political parties in our country, and there's a chasm between all of the media networks and outlets as well. I call it, we live on two different information universes, and the truth is very much dependent upon which side of the universe you believe in and stand in. And this platform, Utah Stories, we've really started it to just facilitate dialogue, to get the sides of different arguments that impact quality of life here in Utah talking to each other so that we can move on past this vitriol and really this evil sort of hatred that leads to violence, which Charlie Kirk was very much opposed to. He was never an advocate for violence, unlike some of the people who were even in Congress. He was always about facilitating a good conversation. And I looked at him like, man, this guy has an incredible amount of courage to be going out to these universities, talking to young people, challenging young people on their ideas and debating them. I think what he was doing is exactly what's missing from university campuses, facilitating good conversation, getting people thinking. And I feel personally very sad at his passing, because he was doing something that if I had the courage to do, I probably would have done more of. If we had the courage to do more of that, we would do it. My beat here at Utah Stories has been homelessness and housing. We go out and talk to homeless people on the streets. We get their ideas and their opinions about homeless policy. and I was going to be talking about more of that today. The time that I did visit the University of Utah campus, when I did experience and see the beginnings of political violence, was when Ben Shapiro visited the University of Utah in 2017, and there was an Antifa planned attack that day in 2017. I happened to be there right when Steven Crowder was coming out of a building, and he said, "We just busted up Antifa. They were planning on committing an act of violence here today and trying to prevent Ben Shapiro from speaking." And because Steven Crowder had embedded one of his folks in the Antifa group prior to Ben speaking, they broke up that whole plan to commit political violence on that day. And again, that was back in 2017, a long time ago. And we really have not had a lot of political violence here in Utah. The riots that happened after George Floyd, the worst were in downtown Salt Lake City, where a car was turned over and a guy had a crossbow he was pointing at motorists. That was back in 2020. But to see this happen here in Utah is incredibly sad, and I'm absolutely surprised that this happened. But from what we're seeing and from what I'm finding on Twitter, looking at this shadowy figure on the top of this building who was running across the top, that's captured in a video. Do we have the ability to show that, Jack? I'd like to show that video because this seems like it was very well orchestrated, done by a professional. That shot from that building to where Charlie Kirk was standing, I don't know how far. Do I? Oh, I'll pull it. Okay, I can pull it up on my laptop. That was a super long shot. I mean, I'll show you when after I pull it up. Okay, let's see if I can show that now on Twitter or X. But if you're joining me here today on YouTube, we don't have a huge YouTube following. We've been, unfortunately, community struck by YouTube, so our followers don't get a lot of our videos. But let me know what you think about this incident. We have more people on the left here at Utah Stories office, but anybody who's an advocate or a champion of free speech, I'm absolutely for that person, whether you're left or you're right. I think what we see happening in Europe, the banning of social media platforms, the banning of people being able to speak their mind, that's absolutely terrible to see that happening in Europe, especially in Germany and places where we have family. And I think it's the greatest asset we have. I think as a nation, we should use our First Amendment, our free speech rights, not for hatred and not to just use ad hominem attacks against people we decided are evil, but to use that to facilitate conversation and understand the opposing points of view. And I don't think I can email this to myself very easily. But I'm watching these clips on X of Charlie Kirk. He had 2 small children. It looks like his little girl she's like 3 or 4 years old. He had a little boy and a little girl. And, you know, it's one of these things where everybody is now saying perhaps it's ironic he was killed because he was a Second Amendment advocate, and he said something to the effect that having the Second Amendment is going to cause people to die from gun violence. I don't think there's any reason why Charlie should have died here in Utah. I don't think that there's any reasoning other than there should have been better security. Charlie probably was just a very free-spirited man and didn't realize that there was people who wanted him to be dead and wanted to basically commit violence against him. Usually those things are threats that go out before they do things like that. I don't know if he received threats. Probably he did. Probably he didn't take them seriously. But it's extremely heartbreaking. And if I could show the one video, I just encourage you to go out to X and check out the video of I just typed in Charlie Kirk shooter runs across the top of the building, and there he is. There's the person who shot him. And unfortunately, there wasn't a anti-sniper like what Trump had at his rally in Butler. But this guy obviously knew what he was doing. It looks like the building that the guy shot from is something like, I would guess, 200-300 yards away. And it was a direct hit to his jugular. I was really praying that somehow he would make it. But then when you saw the close-ups of what happened, it was just a lethal shot, and it was obvious after you saw it from up close that he was not going to make it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read what I planned on reading, which I wrote last night. This is, Will Utah Move Beyond the Beehive? And this is actually appropriate for today because I think this is what is a big cause of this violence. All right. Will Utah move beyond the beehive? We all live in our own little partisan information bubbles. Isn't it comfortable here? We hear what we want to hear. We see what we want to see. The YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok algorithms feed us a nice steady dose of the truth. We know the truth, but isn't it unfortunate that more people don't think the way I do? What's wrong with these people? Those MAGAs, those Trumpists, or if you happen to be a MAGA, those liberals, those wokeists. No matter which side you're on, you are convinced that you know the truth and the enemy is them. Welcome to the Beyond the Beehive podcast. My name is Richard Marcosian. I'm the publisher of Utah Stories and Faces of Utah magazine. So I believe we are at a critical juncture in our society, and our Western society as we know it is at an impasse where it appears like we are headed in one of two different directions. We are either heading toward a world divided in thought and opinion, a divide that could turn into an earthquake and a chasm and perhaps even result in a civil war. It's a critical divide in truth, where the side of the divide you stand on will determine your worldview, where your view of history, politics, religion, and more will be shaped by which side of the chasm you happen to be standing on. Or perhaps we will move past partisan politics, lifting the curtain so we can see that the actual puppet masters are those who are designing the narratives we are supposed to believe. Designed so we remain in opposition to each other. If we move past this hatred for the other side, perhaps we can return to the fundamental roots of Western civilization in our regard for spirited discussion, logic, reasoning, and good debate. So the purpose of this podcast is to break down the barriers and see if people on the opposite sides of these divides can speak to one another, and if a viewing audience is still interested in digging down deep into the truths that are absent in today's politics. Is this possible? Could we return to our Greco-Roman roots into debating using logic, rationality, rather than tribal partisanship? Or should we continue to view the world as a place where it is us versus them, and they are evil? The question I'm posing to you today, is the enemy really them? I don't believe so. I do believe that some people are somewhat brainwashed, both on the left and the right. I also believe that other people are highly susceptible to suggestion. However, I do not believe that people who are brainwashed or even highly susceptible to suggestion are our enemies, on the left or the right. I believe while some might be misguided in their logic, their rationality, and their reasoning, people can be brought back to rationality if we can return to our Enlightenment era values. And I don't know that everybody knows what those Enlightenment era values are. Those are the founding values that started in the UK and then were brought to the United States for the founding of this country. I know that this is likely a highly unpopular opinion I'm about to give, but I think that anybody who wants to believe that the other side is completely wrong, completely ignorant, completely brainwashed is actually wrong themselves. Do you really want to know and understand the enemy? Then perhaps it's time you take a look in the mirror. In the course of these 3 minutes, I probably alienated about 90% of my viewers, but this is good because I'm not going to be hanging out in one tribe or one hive, if you will, or the other. It's time to go beyond the beehive. It's time to get out of our little echo chamber hives and discuss issues in a more thoughtful and reasonable manner. In my 20 years of reporting, I've found that it's much better to attempt to understand why people think the way they do and understand the oppositional point of view than it is trying to convince somebody that they are wrong and I'm right. That's just never really gotten anywhere. In the hyperpartisan world of news and opinion, certainly you can preach to your own choir if you parrot the popular talking points and opinions. You can find a tribe of people who are going to strongly agree with you. For instance, CNN viewers agree with CNN anchors, and Fox News viewers agree with Fox News anchors. But what kind of headway are we going to make with the people who don't agree with us? And what do we do with the others? Toss them into the basket of deplorables, decide that they're definitely on the wrong side of history and there's no need to listen to them? Yes, of course, we could do that. But what about attempting to understand them? Why not try to break down their ideas, break down barriers, and dissect their thoughts and their ideas and understand how and why they think the way they do? Why not dismantle their logic, put it under a microscope, and decide based on truth, facts, and reasoning where their logic breaks down or where it holds up? This is the purpose of the Beyond the Beehive segment of the Utah Stories podcast. We want to get out of our comfort zones, get out of our echo chambers, our hives, and understand the ideas that are shaping our culture and our society, which are growing in popularity. But I need your help to make this podcast, this segment, a success. You got to hit the like button. You got to comment. Engage with this video if you like the idea. Share it with your friends, because there's no way we're ever going to get past the algorithms in YouTube, the algorithms in TikTok or Instagram, if we don't start sharing content that facilitates good debate. We are automatically fed everything we agree with. That's just how the algorithms work. You are going to get exactly what you agree with, then you're going to get confirmation biased, and you're going to believe everything that's on your side. The only way to break through those barriers is to understand we need to have both sides in arguments. We need to listen to both sides. So my hope is that you'll share this with a friend, you'll like the video, comment, and that we have some great guests on where we can have spirited debate. And I think as a tribute to a guy like Charlie Kirk, we should make this a success here in Utah. Again, it's a super sad day, and I guess we'll get all the media spin on what's happened here, and we'll find out what's happened. I certainly hope they capture this gunman. Everywhere I'm looking, it says he's still at large. But let's pray for his family. Let's pray for his children, his wife, those he's left behind. And let's get seriously beyond the beehive and past this hyper-partisan, vitriolic state that we are in, this frenzy, so we can move on as a country and come up with the best policies for the future, for ourselves and for our kids. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Rich Markosian. I'll see you next time.